This car carries that Jersey industrialized feeling and vibe, a purposeful car. Driving this thing is a visceral experience. It's raw. My name is Richard Gonçalves. My partner and myself, Victor Almeida, opened the shop up here in 1995. We've been doing this effectively since about 1985. Started as kids around 15 years old. The Palo Alto Outlaw is a throwback basically to the Mexican Panamericana race, the Carrera Panamericana race, which ran for 5 years in the 50s, from 50 through 54. If you look at its livery, it's inspired by the Fletcher Aviation livery. You could picture 1960s race car, right out of the racetrack, put on the street. The client came in, Neil Setti, the gentleman who owns the car, very busy person, and they flew in, drove another build that we had done for another customer, loved it, and said, I want this, but faster and rougher. I've liked 911s ever since I was a kid, as far back as I can remember. My father had a limousine, which had belonged to a business we had early on, and it was sitting in his house in Florida. And he decided it was time to sell the limousine, which I did, gladly so. Well, I took that money and bought that car. And that was it. That was my first true 911. So for power plant, Neil wanted lightweight, big horsepower. One of the ways to do that is to go to just, displacement. There's no replacement for displacement, as we say here. And so we selected a 3.6 liter engine, bumped to 3.8. There were two very small criteria on this car. One was that it could not have a wing, no aero whatsoever. It would be very smooth, and it could not be wide. And so the measurements that I was given were basically SC-ish width type flare, and again, 3.8, big power. I already knew from the first couple conversations that the power to weight ratio that he wanted, he needed some aero, because at some serious speeds, it's really easy to kill yourself with that aero. You need downforce, you need negative lift, you need to make sure the car is planted. Last you want to do is hand somebody a car that's just a death trap. The wing's funny. I don't want any wings on this thing. He says, all right, well, we'll talk about the wing in the end. I knew he didn't want a wing, so the only way to win him over would be to really give him no wing, but give him a wing at the same time. And so we devised an aluminum wing which uses a 964 mechanism. It is aluminum, hand-formed, switch-operated. Comes on when you want it, not when the car tells you you want it to come up. It doesn't come up at 60, doesn't go down at 59 or at 10. It goes on when you feel like it, and it's got some lights there. You better make sure it's up. You're going really fast. Want it down? They want to pretend you don't have a wing? You got it. Yellow light comes on, wings down. The wheelbase is about on par with the 930 setup because it uses 930 suspension components. So we wanted to make sure that we had a car that was well planted, that would hook up and go, and not just go sideways or light up the tires, because that's ineffective horsepower. Being a lightweight sports purpose approach, uses a lot of lightweight parts, meaning in this case fiberglass. So the whole front of the car is fiberglass. The front splitter is an aluminum piece that we hand formed and made, designed, fabricated, and installed on the car. There is no other one like it. No one's made it. People have asked us for it. It really belongs on this car. Short wheelbase headlights, meaning the glass is slanted, it's laid down more, it's not stepped like the later H4 lights. It denotes a period in European cars, and we just felt that it added that one last touch to the feel. It's 60s and you're going at it, and it's yellow lights and it's foggy. We knew we wanted a black interior, and what I did is I went out and bought some brown distressed leather. Then we dyed it black, and then we beat it up some, and then we sent him a picture, and he was ecstatic. The same process was applied to the door panels. We made pigskin door pulls set slightly below the door cap. The gauges are really cool. We gave them black face gauges. We aged them, sent the gauges out. They were restored, changed from US numerals to Euro. It's all kilometers, so it's 300 kilometer an hour gauge, 10,000 RPM tack modification. And then we decided that we needed to make the gauges play the part, so we aged the rims, did that in-house, and we added all the warning zones in red, painted on the rim, which together with the red pointer on the Momo Monza vintage steering wheel, ties in really nicely, works really well together. We wrapped the dash in suede, aged that. The face of the dashboard was all welded shut, painted black satin, and then chipped up. It's scratched, it's got little dings and dents, and it's all purposeful. Understatement is the statement, and that carries through to the door handles. We simply ground off the edges, cleaned it up, made it rounder, got rid of the chrome finish, and that, finished off that exterior touch. The shifter that's in this car is a Hargett racing shifter. What we did is we modified the Hargett shifter and we incorporated the e-brake to the side of it. So it's still on the same plane as the factory mechanism, so that it operates the same stock cables, but it's offset by about 3 inches to the side. It's just a really, really cool trick piece. It's reinforced, took a long time to make. It looks like it belongs, it just does it, and that really finishes off that interior. This really brings out something that's non-existent and exposes it for what its real true purpose is. First we grafted on SC flares, and then we hand reshaped those to the shape that they're now, so that they're more circular and they have more of a vintage feel and vibe to them than that square crease that the typical 911 has. Bits on the front end that you see here are all hand done. All the patina is hand done. All the patina work that's on there is above the paint. You'll see a European style license plate. That was actually my idea. That is Steve McQueen's arrest record number in Alaska, which we think is really, 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 really cool. He loved the idea. He says, "Yeah, man, we got to put that on there." Driving around this thing with Steve McQueen on the passenger seat, it's pretty awesome. Center fill fuel tank. The gas cap has been aged as well. Looks weathered, looks tired. Our ROCS logo print in the front has been beat up, looks dirty. Again, it's all purposely done with the intention of making it feel like this car was indeed in a Panamericana race car and retired at some point, and it's just been beautifully kept all these years and used on a sporadic day. Everything's new in this car, so it's for all intents and purposes a brand new car, but it feels old, it drives old, it's very fast. It does all the things, it has all the nuances that you would expect from an old vintage race car, but everything's new. If you focus on the entire car, the car is purposely misaligned. Certain components are on purpose misaligned so that they look like they've been put through the ringer. The horn grills aren't perfectly square. The taillights aren't perfectly square. The fuel tank fillers are perfectly square. Normally, for most cars, when we build a car, we put everything on 100% to the millimeter perfect. But since this car is a rough and about race car, it's got a history. New cars, while they do everything 95% perfect, there's 5% archaic emotion missing from it. It's not as engaging. Building art that functions. That's what we prefer to build. Art they get into and wear. Art they can get in, take it from point A to point B. When they park it in the office, when they park it in the street somewhere, it's okay. It's going to get dinged, scratched, dented. It's good. It's good for it. Certainly it's the client wish that's most important, but I firmly believe that you should create what you want that to be and not be limited by any one set of rules. Think outside the box, and you'll have something that's quite unique. The dream has always been to build cars. We repaired them as a means to achieve that dream. You know, to me, working on cars isn't about replacing brakes, doing oil changes, and making as much money as possible. It's about doing something that I and Victor want to do, that allows us to come in, be creative, that doesn't feel like work. My father firmly believed that cars were meant to be purchased, used, and resold at a profit. I had a different idea.